the antibody isn't permanent, right? So look at the challenge here now. You got to vaccinate 7 billion people more than once a year. Have this challenge as well that, okay, how many vaccines are we going to get, right? And then there are the logistical issues, right? There's an unprecedented air cargo challenge. This is what we're tasked with, right? It's a mammoth task. It's not a one-shot thing. It has to be distributed worldwide as soon as possible and equitably and ethically, right? We want to reduce deaths. We want to reduce economic damage. That's the same, but the challenge is at a larger scale. For COVID, they have this fund called COVAX Fund in collaboration with WHO and CEPI, right? So their goal is basically, so we want to secure 2 billion doses, okay, under this fund. 1 billion is for 92 lower and middle income countries and economies. The other billion is for 75 wealthier countries. Those countries are to pay for it. Okay, so this is what Gavi is trying to do. They are our current global initiative right now. Their distribution policy is designed by WHO. And the question is WHO getting it right? Here's phase 1. Okay, so the idea is countries will receive doses proportionally to their total population. So you understand what's going on, right? So we have this global alliance, Gavi, arranging it for everyone, and then they secure 2 billion doses, and then they distribute it to the countries. So the countries receive doses proportionally to their total population. And so there are 2 stages to it in phase 1. In the first stage, it covers like 3% of every country, okay? All countries to receive 3% of their population. So this should be enough to cover the health workers and the urgent responders, right? Who are essential. The second step of phase 1 is to cover 20%, an additional 20% of all the countries. So this should cover the elderly, right? Adults with comorbidities, right? So different countries can be equally populous, like India and China, and have completely different situations. How is that equitable, right? So WHO is going like, okay, it's politically feasible, right? Tenable. So you can convince governments to come on board with this COVAX. So perhaps it's a safe bet. How is this fair, right? In 2009, the latest pandemic that we had, only a handful of wealthy countries, they secured nearly all of the vaccines, okay? And by the time the vaccines reached the lower income countries, the pandemic was over. Okay, we cannot let that happen again. Guess what? It's happening again. And this brings us to the concept of vaccine nationalism. Anything we produce within our borders, we're going to retain it. And we're also going to try to acquire stuff produced outside our borders, right? So everything is flowing in. That's vaccine nationalism. The question is it ethical? On the one hand, you have arguments for vaccine nationalism. It's a country's right and duty to prioritize its own citizens. On the other hand, on the opposite end of the spectrum, this is a life-saving resource, right? And people's entitlement to it should not depend on nationality from an ethical perspective, right? So this is a trade-off that's really, really hard to break. Can we propose an ethical statement that all of the countries should be happy to accept? So this paper, they suggest an upper limit that, okay, it's fair to take care of your citizens, do it, but you just need enough, retain enough to keep your RT less than 1. So then you have statistical guarantee that pandemic is going to die out, and then it's just not right to hold on to more than that, and you should sell or distribute it, right? So with the fair priority model, it goes beyond this suggestion. They say all deaths are important, but premature deaths are more important. So we want to give it to a country where the reduction in GNI would be minimized. Okay, look, under this model, in the first phase, USA and Brazil would get a higher priority than Singapore. Why? Because they simply have higher deaths per capita. So given a tranche of vaccine, they will be able to save more years of life than Singapore. So it's like they are doing a bad job, so their people are dying more, and we're doing a good job. And now you're going to make us wait to get the vaccine because more life years can be saved in their country. How is that fair? There's also this issue of antitrust. Let's bring it to computer science now, right? Can virtual agent help? So this is a paper that just came out last month. It talks about a dynamic prioritization of vaccines. You can see that, hey, if you're older and essential, you turn out to be pretty consistently on top, right? The pink one, top, top, second top. However, if you want to reduce infection, then younger and essential. So infection, right? So the yellow one, younger and essential. So essential also comes in second. If you want to reduce deaths, go for the older ones, right? So you have the darker bars here. So these are the insights that this model helps you get, and this outperforms non-targeted strategy by 18%.